A couple things that the realignment. So one of the biggest problems with realignment, and this is something that I haven't heard anybody talk about yet. The reason baseball exists is regional broadcast, regional fan base, getting fans in the stadium. The NFL will survive if a fan enters that stadium or not. They're fine. TV deal, done. Made money. They're good no matter what. People don't realize that. No matter what, if you enter that stadium or not, that money is just extra. That's on top of the cake.
It's the cherry.
It's great. It's the cherry. It's beautiful. Baseball and hockey have to have fans. Basketball, not as much. Baseball's built their entire economics around that because that forces every team to have to invest in the team, to create a product, to get sponsorships. So the NBA can all sit back. NFL can sit back and not do anything. Baseball and the NHL have to do stuff. I like that actual better. It might slow your growth, but I like it better because it creates a connection with your team a lot more than the other fan bases do. But with that, this is a long way to get to this. The Los Angeles Dodgers and Angels, the Yankees and the Mets, the Cubs and the White Sox, why it works is because they're not playing each other all the time. And both of those teams have different teams coming to them to play. So the Cubs are seeing Milwaukee, St. Louis, Cincinnati, the Cardinals every single, couple weeks. And the White Sox are seeing Detroit, Cleveland, Minnesota, and where am I dying here? Kansas City. So you're getting different fan bases coming and going. The same thing with the Mets. You're getting the NL East and the AL East. So you're constantly seeing different teams, and you're seeing the NL teams come through. This is obviously before we have the schedules the way they are now, and everybody's playing everybody. But you had to go to a Mets game to see the Dodgers, to see the Giants, to see the Cubs. And you had to go to a Yankees game to see the Mariners or the Rangers or the Angels, right? So you had to go to the different fields. But when you're seeing, you're going to see in one city always the same teams coming in and playing. There is going to be a fan exhaustion of these teams. You see it when you play interdivision team, like when the Mariners were playing the Rangers. Nobody came to the game. Mariners playing the Angels. Nobody came to the game. But when the Mariners played a team they don't play that much, more fans come. Because why do I want to see the Rangers one night when I can see them 3 different times throughout the year? Yeah. But I can only see the White Sox once. Or and I say the White Sox, they used to be good. But I can only see the Rays once. I can only see the Yankees one time. I have to go to that because I'm a Yankees fan. But if I'm a Rangers fan, I don't have to go this one night. I can go that night, or I can go that night. So end up you're lowering the fan base. So if you're in New York and you're getting the Mets and the Yankees, and what were the other 2 teams? The
Phillies and the Red Sox.
You're going to be seeing those same teams constantly in the same city. So why do I go to a Yankees game where now I just doubled up the amount of times I'm going to see? If I'm a Philly fan, I can either go to the Yankee game or go to a Met game and still see my team. And I can just drive down to Phillies and go see them. So you're creating actual more constantly seeing the same teams in the same city. If I'm in the Chicago, I don't want to see the same teams constantly. I want to see different ones. And that's why it works in the NFL when you're talking about the Rams and you're talking about the Chargers, because you see totally different teams. You're talking about the Jets and the Giants. You're seeing totally different teams in these cities that have 2 teams. They specifically separate them so you get more fan bases having to come through and travel and see them, and they're spending more money, and you're creating more of a connection because of that. Major League Baseball, I hope they don't lose that, regardless of the whole National League, American League side, which is a whole nother conversation, and which we'll get to. But don't lose that, because it's such a simple thing that you're going to forget.
It's funny. I didn't even think about it in those terms as far
no
as
one's ever brought it up.
Yeah, and I love that you did, but I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at it from a purely economic standpoint, and I'm saying, wait a minute, hold on a second. When you're breaking them up so closely, when you're breaking up the divisions and then you are realigning them and you're making it so close geographically, most of the time those teams make the same amount of money, spend the same amount of money. So now you're looking at that proposed division in the Northeast. That would be the Red Sox, the Phillies, the Mets, and the Yankees. It would be a $1.2 billion payroll for those 4 teams. And then when you go south to Atlanta, Tampa Bay, Miami, and Nashville, it would be $300 million combined for all those teams. That's not fair. If you're a team like the Mets, that now I've got to play the cream of the crop more often than anybody else, and Atlanta's going to win the division by default for 20 straight years because they're the only ones spending any money, I have a problem with that. I do have a remedy, though. The hell with divisions. I don't want divisions anymore. Make it so that you play everybody in your conference a certain amount of times, like we do now, and then in the other conference, you get to see them all again. But I don't want divisions. I want it to be Eastern Conference 1 through 17, Western Conference, Eastern Conference 1 through 17, and then just take the top 5 teams on each side and put them in the playoffs, because this idea that I've constantly got to be battling the same teams over and over and over, terrible to me.
Yeah, I think now when you do that, the one thing you're going to get is when teams that are on the bottom are never going to spend. So when a team has to compete with 16 teams to make the playoffs, right? Why would you spend money when you only have to compete with 4 teams to make the playoffs? You're going to be more apt to spend that little extra money knowing I only have to beat 3 teams.
Okay.
I only have to make the playoffs. I only have to beat 3 teams. Like, I don't have to be the fastest. I just got to be faster than you 3 idiots, right? That the old joke with like, how do you beat a bear? Like how do you outrun a bear? I don't have to outrun a bear. I just have to outrun you.
Yeah.
Like, that's good. So like when you get down the south and you get the Rays and you get the Marlins and the Braves and whatever that team ends up being, if it's Nashville or let's say we just throw full realignment up right now and it's like Washington, whatever that is, like there's actually going to be some incentive there for some of the, like one of those teams to go, hey, like this is winnable and we're going to make the playoffs. Let's not just go at 500 and be happy with this. Let's actually throw a little money here. And you're going to end up getting teams that actually win and throw money at it, where if you get 16 teams, there's no point. You're actually taking away the exact, like doing that takes away every incentive to spend a little money if you're anybody lower. Like if I'm in the AL Central, I know if I throw a little money at it, I'm going to win that division.
Okay, great. But so I have 2 ways of solving that problem. Number 1, there's got to be a salary floor. You must have a salary
floor without a cap, brother. So
why not?
Can't do it.
Why not?
Oh, there's no way the MLB owners are going to give up a floor without a cap.
Okay, and then
you're never going to get it.
Well, that's all fine and dandy, but you want other concessions from the union, then you're going to have to do it. And then the other idea that I have, that I'm actually stealing from the great Don LaGreca from ESPN Radio in New York, and I've always liked this idea. If you are the best team not to make the playoffs, you get the first overall pick in the draft. I don't want people tanking and not spending money and then getting rewarded for it. So I say, the team that comes in dead last in the standings, they get the worst pick in the draft. I'm not saying that the second worst is going to get the second worst pick in the draft, but there's got to be something for the team. If you are the worst because you are not spending money, you get the worst pick in the draft.
I don't say worst pick in the draft. I don't agree with that, but I like the concept. So what I would say is, you have a top upper tier of players, that teams that make the playoffs, they do it normally. You seed it by, if you win the World Series, you're 32, assuming we're realigning and all that stuff and adding teams. You're 32, go down to whatever that number ends up being. If you're talking like, what are we at? Are we on 6 on both sides right now? We're at 6 on both sides right now. So you're talking about 12 teams making the playoffs. So you're talking about the top 12 and then the other 20. So those top 12, you line it up by best to worst, and just figure that out by record with the bottom couple that get like pick like 21 and 22. And then what you do is the worst team in the league gets 20. And then the best of the worst, right? The teams that don't make the playoffs. Yeah, I do like that. And I'm totally fine with that. I actually I'm kind of in that boat. Like, I dig it. And so that puts you at a point of like, you can't just lose and be horrible. But in a game that's regional, in a game that is with the money is how it is in baseball, the reason the Rays are even competitive, and some of these, like the Tigers, the reason the Tigers are competitive, the reason these teams are competitive is because they were getting first picks, because they were drafting well. And I think Major League Baseball doesn't get enough credit and the union doesn't get enough credit for forcing these teams to create great player development systems, great scouting systems, great player development that does take high picks and develops them and gets them up. Like, for all the crap we want to give the Orioles for this year, they've done an incredible job of taking high round draft picks and making them major league quality players. We just haven't seen the end results. But again, if they come out and have a great year next year again, like we're going to be talking to them and bowing down to them again with what we've done the last 3 years.
But right now, there should be a penalty for a team like the Orioles, who should be better and not spending before the season the way that they should have. There's got to be something. Now, you know what I really
I don't want to call them a penalty either, because if I sat there and looked at that team, we all knew they were going to be competitive, but we also knew, like, okay, they're making a financial decision to really go for it next year. And they're going to be spending a lot of money very soon. So we get that. Like, there's a give and take there. I'm more concerned with like the Marlins, right? Or more with the Rockies or the White Sox that have never signed anybody. Like, Benintendi should not be your greatest contract of all time.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's pathetic. Nothing against Benintendi. It's more against the White Sox not signing these players. But I know what you're saying, and I agree with you there.
You know what I really wish there was, and this is the last thing we're going to say about realignment, and I want to know if you can think of any way that this is feasible. My favorite thing in sports in the whole world is relegation in English Premier League. Can we figure out a way, like, hey, Tampa Bay, not even Tampa Bay, who's the worst? Miami, you're the worst team in baseball this year. Guess what? Now you have to play against AAA play. You're in the AAA for 1 year.
And Miami's not the worst team.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you're not burying any Miami fans. I get it. I like it. It's the way the system's built. Never. I love the relegation system. I think it's incredible, and it gives teams on lower divisions opportunities to like make something out of yourself and something to shoot for besides just the minor league cup. So I love it. And but we are we're built so differently in this sport that it will never happen, because minor league system are just teams of your big league team. Like, they're the same thing. And so that will never happen. Relegation has to be, if you're going to relegate, there has to be a viable independent league below Major League Baseball